Hello and welcome to Old Ways Gardening and Prepping. My name is Teresa. I'd like to welcome you out to the shed of many names on this rainy evening. And I apologize if you hear tapping on the roof. The rain, the monsoon for this week is starting to roll in. And I was trying to beat the rain, but oh well. Today, this evening, we're going to be talking about making your own homemade incense cones. I was talking about that in my short video about how I was blessed to get the Christmas tree trimmings at Lowe's. And that, yes, I use them for decorations. And also, I dry it and make incense cones out of it. Now, here's the fun part. It's time to dry it. Cut it up and dry it. Now, usually I just let it dry on its own. But Angel, one of the owls, asked me to make this video because she wanted to learn how to make smudge cones or incense cones. And tonight we're going to be dehydrating spruce. I love spruce. It's wonderful in smudge mixes because it's a protective herb. And it's also a healing herb. It's good for respiratory ailments. So, with this being said, let's get busy. Okay, got the camera moved. I have my dehydrating trays ready. I have my silicone mats in each one. And you're going to want to use a old canning lid to block the hole from any spruce falling through. And when you get your tray filled, well, let me bring up the camera a little bit. When you get your tray filled, you'll take your lid off, put your tray on your dehydrator. So, let's get started. Now, the thicker stems, I'm going to pull the leaves off. Sometimes they don't want to come off, but that's okay. Tonight I'm using spruce. You can also use cedar as well. You can dehydrate sage. I have some sage already. Oh, it smells so good. Alright, I'm going to leave that on there. I'm going to let that dry naturally. And I'm going to try not to make a huge mess. And don't waste anything. Now, your smaller stems, you can leave them on because they'll grind up just fine. And you're going to want also a dedicated coffee grinder to grind these up once they're dry. Because believe me, you're not going to want to grind no coffee up in it after grinding the spruce or cedar or whatever you're able to use. Now, I make my cones a little different than most people because I don't use a fixative, which makes them they'll burn just fine. It just makes them a little more fragile. And like I said, don't waste anything, just put it aside. And you're going to want to make sure that these are completely dry. Come back here. No escaping. And I'm going to go back tomorrow because I have to go to the post office and see if I can get some more. Of course, you know, they're going to look at me like I've lost my mind, but that's okay. I'd love to get a hold of a whole tree, but at the prices they want for the trees, yeah, no, not happening. A lot of times when Christmas is over, everybody starts throwing their trees on the side of the road, onto the curb for the garbage pickup. Guess who's the one out there picking them up? I get as many as I can each year. A lot of them are spruce. Once in a while I'll get lucky and it'll be a cedar. I didn't get to go out and gather any cedar, but you know what? That's going to be just perfectly fine. And anybody can make these. It's simple, easy. All you need is the ingredients. You can make smudge cones if you want to. You can also make, if you like rosemary, you can use rosemary. What you are, out of there. You can use all different kinds of herbs that you like. Like I said, you can use sage, cedar, spruce, pine if you like pine. Sweetgrass, I usually use sweetgrass as well. I forgot to harvest some. And just remember, it's resinous, so you're going to get it on your hands. You're going to be a little sticky, but you know what? Soap and water takes a lot of things off. And you're going to be amazed at how easy they are to make. Like I said, remember to take your lid off, add it to the next. And see, that's what I'm saying about needles falling through. You can't always prevent it. And if you can't get the needles off off these bigger stems, don't worry, just put them aside in a airy basket or up on a screen and they will dry. They'll dry naturally. Now sometimes they'll turn brown. You want to try to keep them as green as possible. But you can use brown too. But I prefer to use the green. I tend to add these. I save the limbs for adding to the fire pit because they don't like to grind up small. Oh, I'm going to tell you right now, it smells wonderful in here. And I look at it like this, it keeps these from going into the dumpster because that's pretty much what's going to happen to them. And to me, that's a waste. And if I can keep it from being wasted, more power to me. Uh-oh. Okay, it's a stick. I'll pick that up here in a minute. I'm going to let these dehydrate overnight. And they should be perfectly fine in the morning. And of course, if you have cedar growing on your property, you can harvest it. Do it respectfully. Give an offering before you harvest. I know some frown down upon that, but it's the traditional ways of my people is to give thanks for the plants, especially when we go to harvest them. You want to make sure they have plenty of space for airflow so they'll all dry at the same time. And of course, if you wanted to, you could run your dehydrator a little bit longer. You could add more per tray. Okay, I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to continue on cutting these up. And I'll bring you back when I'm done. Wanted to bring you back to show you sometimes I usually use my pocket knife or a paring knife. And some of them I'll scrape off with just a little bit of the bark. Now, it's resinous, so it's going to get sticky, y'all. But there's a lot of scent in the bark as well. It smells so good, y'all. Alright, I just wanted to bring you back to show you that little trick also. Back to being busy. Alright, I'm done. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 and maybe a quarter trays, but that's okay. Make sure you get everything on those trays. Now, make sure you clean hot soapy water your scissors or your trimmers. And once this is dry, you're going to want hot soapy water on your trays and your mats, because there will be some resin. It's not going to hurt a single thing, but it can be interesting to get off of things. Don't let this discourage you. Now, if you do not have a dehydrator, I'm not going to cut my dehydrator on at the moment, because it'll get loud in here, y'all. Alright, now if you do not have a dehydrator, line a cookie sheet with parchment paper. And you can slow dry them on the lowest setting of your stove if you have an electric stove. Now, if you have a gas stove that has a pilot light, you don't have to cut the oven on at all. Just put your cookie sheets in there and let them dry. They could be dry overnight, or it might take a while, but you don't have to cut your oven on if you have a gas stove. Now, if you don't want to do it that way, you can always take a screen and let them cut them up, let the branches dry naturally. Now, we're going to be using, once these are dry, we're going to be using a dedicated coffee grinder because, yeah, it's going to get a little messy. And sometimes you can't get the resin completely out of the coffee grinder. And that's why I say have multiple coffee grinders that you can dedicate to certain items. Like for your herbs, for these, for resinous plants, for your eggshells, stuff like that. And you can find them also in thrift stores and yard sales, y'all. So you don't have to always buy them brand new. I'm going to get this plugged up, get her going. I'm going to head and get me some sleep. And I will see you back tomorrow. Everyone, good night. Out to the shed. The spruce is dry. Now, if you hear tapping on the roof, it's rain because apparently the monsoons have set in. Now, I want a big bowl so I can dump the trays into, and they are dry as a bone, which is exactly what you want them to be. Because if they're not dry, you won't get it ground to a powder. And that's what we're going to be doing. Of course, you're going to have to wash your trays and your mats. And you want to try to waste nothing. Little bitty tray of single needles. And let me tell you, it smelled so good in here while these were drying. And when I came in this morning, the dehydrator was almost finished. And man, it smelled like I had set up a giant spruce tree in here. It was wonderful. Like I said, you can dry cedar, spruce, anything that smells, anything evergreen, pine, it all smells wonderful. And I'm going to move my dehydrator out of the way. There's a few needles on there. I want to get those out too because you don't want to waste anything. I'll carefully set that over there. And you can see that those things are dry as a bone. And that's what you want. You want to hear snap and they fall apart. Now comes the fun part of grinding this all up. And like I said, you could use a blender. If you have a really good blender, it's going to be fun to get the blender cleaned out. And this is why I have a dedicated coffee grinder for this. You're going to want a jar with a funnel. Some will fall out. You just scoop it and put it back in. Okay. And that is what you want. Powder. You want to get it as powder fine as you can. Now, I usually sometimes sift them as well. Oh, my gracious, y'all. Smells so good. Alright, I'm not going to make y'all sit through grinding the rest of this. I'm fixing to get busy, and I will bring you back as soon as I'm done. It's going to take a little while. Okay, finally got it ground up. Look how beautiful that is. Ended up with just a hair over a cup and a half. Yes, it takes quite a bit of dried plant material when you powder it up. But, oh, it smells so good. Now, like I said, I'm making a form of smudge cones. So, I have a cup of powdered sage, and I'm going to add almost a cup of the powdered spruce. I'm going to mix it real well, get it good and combined. If you don't want to use it as a smudge cone, you can use it as a holiday incense as well. There'll be a few little pieces of needles that didn't get ground up perfectly fine, but that's okay. They're going to burn as well, or smolder. Now remember what I said about dedicating a coffee grinder to it? That's resin all in there. It's dried, but still. You can clean it out if you want to, but I just dedicate a coffee grinder for it. And like I said, you can use all different kinds of herbs that you enjoy. You can do rosemary. You can do basil. Oregano's a good one. You can mix up your own mixes. Just make sure you're not allergic to them. Oh, it smells so good. Now, since I didn't have any cedar, which spruce is in the same family as cedar, I'm still going to use some cedar wood essential oil. Yes, you can add essential oil as well. You don't want to add a whole lot. And I'm going to do about 20 drops. Oh, you can smell all three of them in there very well. Now you could stop it here. I'm adding just one more special essential oil, frankincense. I like sandalwood too, but at the moment I don't have any sandalwood. And I'm going to do 20 drops of it too. Oh, it smells so good. Now, you don't have to use the essential oil. You can use all dried plant material. That's fine. Now here comes the fun part. This is where you gotta be careful, because you don't want to add too much. This is rainwater. Good old rainwater. Or actually storm water, to give it a little more oomph. Or you can use purified water. You don't want to use tap water because you don't want the chlorine in. You're going to add a little bit at a time. I know it sounds weird, but it's the water that helps it to stick together, and then you dry the water out of it, and that's how it forms into a cone. Oh, we're going to get our hands dirty after a while, but it's going to be fun. And like I said, I'm not using a fixative because I'd rather keep it as natural as possible. So once these are dry, they're going to be slightly fragile. You're going to have to put them in a box or something where they won't get bumped around. And you're going to have to handle them gently. Getting close. And if you wanted to, you can use a metal bowl to mix it up. Either or, both are going to come clean. I know a lot of people are going, well, you just dried it. Well, see, if you don't get it wet enough, it's not going to hold shape. And of course, if you try to use fresh plant material, it's not going to hold its shape whatsoever. if you wanted to. You can do a more floral one with like lavender and rose petals. It needs just a little bit more. You don't want it too wet, but you don't want it too dry. It's another one of those, you got to get it just right. Still need a little bit more. You want to keep pinching it together, making it as big or small as you want. Just want to make sure that they are pushed together enough to where they are going to hold their shape. Let's see. And let me move the camera down so you can actually see what I'm doing. So you want to pinch and squish and spin it. See, I want to pick that up. That means it's not packed enough. Down here at the bottom, it's not packed enough. You want to make sure you get them flat on the bottom so they don't fall over while they're burning or smoldering, whichever one you'd like to call it. Now, I like mine a little bit bigger, and it's messy. It's a messy job, y'all, but it's fun. But you can see just how it looks. and you decide what size they're going to be and shape, but you definitely want a wider bottom so they will be balanced out. And if you try to make each one the exact same size, you're going to drive yourself crazy. These are handmade, and they're going to be different shapes. You can make it whatever size you want them to be. Now, if you want to be OCD about it, go for it. For me, life's too short to be OCD. And nothing on this earth is perfect. Always remember that. You can make it look good, nothing wrong with that. But if you try to make it absolutely perfect, you'll drive yourself crazy. And sometimes, if your tip don't work out, mush it back down and start building it back up. You want it as compressed as possible. Because if it's loose, it's going to break apart. This one just wants to be difficult. See, sometimes they'll pull apart when you go to pick them up. Just mush them back together. Since mine's for smudging, I tend to make mine just a little bit bigger. Good grief, the trains. Now, you can let them dry naturally. You're going to need to keep an eye on it and make sure that no mold starts to grow on them. Warm place. Let them sit. Check on them each day. Now, if you don't want to do that, you can do a cookie sheet lined with parchment paper and dry them in your oven at the lowest temperature you have. If it's an electric oven. If it's a gas oven, there's a pilot light. Just slide the cookie sheet in there. You don't even have to cut the oven on. Now, I'm going to do mine I'm going to cut one of my dehydrators on, put the tray on top, and let it run overnight. Is there a chance it won't be dry in the morning? Oh, you betcha. With all this rain, there's a good chance. But there's also a chance that it will be dry. Now, as big as mine are, I'm not going to be able to put a top on it, which that's fine. It just means that it's still going to have air circulation. And you can mush them together best you can and then start shaping them. These are your incense cones. Make them how you want them to be. Just make sure that they are good and smushed together so they do not come apart. And like I said, there's no fixative in them, so they're going to be slightly fragile, so you're going to have to be gentle with them. And you can use these if you do like mullein. You can do mullein and other medicinal herbs that is good for smoke, and make your incense cones out of them. Or if you just want the house to smell good, you can do like the dried spruce like I have, or dried cedar, and a little sweet orange essential oil. Think of the holidays. Please don't use perfume oil or oil warmer oil. That stuff is not good for you. It's chemicals. You want these to be as natural as possible. That's why I'm not adding a fixative. Which fixatives are also natural. I just don't want to use them. And you want to make sure you give them plenty of space. Now, like I said, mine are big. I use mine to smudge a whole house. You can make them smaller. You make them the size you want. Now, if you feel really froggy, it's a little more difficult, and I didn't have any very small bamboo skewers. You want the really thin ones. You can take a same excuse me, incense mix and make stick incense. But just remember, there's no fixative on it, so there's a good chance it's not going to stick real well to your bamboo skewers. But you can make stick incense as well. Just remember, they are fragile because of not having any fixatives. But I love making my own incense because I know exactly what's going into them. I know how they're going to smell. Man, the monsoon is coming down. I know we need the rain, but man, At least it's starting to warm up. And a lot of times, it's going to be your base and the tip that's going to give you the most trouble sticking together. It just means you got to keep compacting them even more. Well, I'm going to get back to being busy, and I'll see you as soon as I get all these done. Be back after a while. Thought I'd bring you back for the last one. I already have 30 on my tray. Yes, I could have made a whole lot more if I'd made them all small. But I like big incense cones every once in a while for certain special things. Now, you want to make sure that you knead them very well, because you want to get that center as compacted as possible. Now, these can be made for so many reasons. They could be made for prayer. You could pray as you make them. The main thing is stay as calm and peaceful as you can be while making them, because you do not want to energize them with anything negative. They could be used for meditation. They can be used for offerings, prayer offerings, so many things. The main thing is don't get so focused about them being perfect. Now, another thing, take your time, patience. And you'll notice with each one, you'll get better at shaping them, because you'll get the feel for it. And if you want to make, like, you could grind up rose petals, add some, like, orange essential oil. There's so many different plant variations that you could make. Just make sure that none of the plant material is poisonous. And like I said, you could do medicinal. Make small fumeraries where certain herbs are good to breathe in while being burnt. Like mullein. Mullein is one of your best ones for to breathe in the burning, the smoke from it. You could add spearmint. You could add a little bit of eucalyptus, not too much, because a lot of eucalyptus is way overpowering. And you want something that you're going to actually enjoy smelling while it's burning. And see, you just scoop it up and put it on there. Main thing is you want to make sure they're good and compacted. And I got a mess to clean up, but you know what? It was worth every second. I love making them. And thank you, Angel, for asking me to do a video on them, because I've been needing to make some for a while. And like I said, if you want to, you can make them even smaller. If you want to get froggy, you can get very small, thin, like bamboo skewers, and pack it along there and make your incense sticks. You want to make sure that the skewers are very small, because, yeah, burning skewers can stink, y'all. Simple, easy, anybody can do this. They have been made this way for eons. This is how the ancestors done it. And if it was good enough for them, it's good enough for me as well. Like I said, these are smudge cones. and I'll have all the information and ingredients that I used in the description box below. You can do it. Just got to believe in yourself. Simple, easy, very few ingredients, and they're all natural. And I'm going to bring you back. I'll end this video when I get one that's good and dry, and I'll show you how easy they are to burn. And they burn very well. Now these are not, don't get them mistaken, they are not fire starters. These are incense cones. And I'm fixing to clean this mess up, get the base of the dehydrator going. So hopefully I'll have one at least dry tomorrow, so I can show you how well they light and they burn. And I will bring you back for that, because cleaning up my mess, and I'm gonna go get me some sleep. And I will see y'all later on. Y'all good night. Okay, welcome back the next day. They have dried quite a bit, but they still need to dry some more. Now if you have a warm area, it would be great. Let them cure about a week, and they should be plenty dry. If you do them in the dehydrator, I let it go overnight. Jana making her appearance. I let them go overnight, so they are fairly dry. I'm going to let them cure the rest of the way on their own, because they're not near as wet as they were last night. Now, as they dry, they will turn a lighter color. As you can see, they have lightened up quite a bit. They're not as dark as they were. Now, you can tell that they're not dry. Let's see if I can get it to focus right here. See the darker, splotchy areas? That just shows that they are not dried completely. And of course, the bigger cones take longer. Hold on a minute. She's after a squirrel, y'all, and y'all know how she does not like squirrels. Now, I'm going to take one of my smaller ones. This one looks a whole lot drier. See how light colored it is? And it's really light. You can tell the difference. Like I said, this is a good batch. This turned out really good. They're holding together very well. But that's only because I compressed and kneaded them quite a bit, and they have stuck together. Now, once they are completely cured, then all you have to do is take a lighter or a candle flame. Now I went out and found a brick, because while I'm not at home, my incense burner is at home. So all you're going to do is light the tip real well. And there you have it. Homemade incense cones. I know a lot of people are going to go, this doesn't have anything to do with prepping. No, it might not. But guess what? I just saved how much money? And I also know exactly what's in it. And pretty much everything I had was free. So it didn't cost me much of nothing to make these. The essential oils I caught on clearance, so I might have spent all of maybe 5 cents on the 40 drops of essential oils in total. And see, don't need chemicals, don't need fixatives. It's burning very well by itself. And let me tell you, it smells wonderful, y'all. And this is an easy way to scent your home naturally. And also protect your home. It's another way to meditate with. Give offerings and prayer. So many things incense can be used for. I'll be right back. And as you can see, it is still burning beautifully. Simple, easy, and homemade, y'all. Yes, you can do it as well. And you get to choose what scents that you make. Hope this encourages you to also make your own homemade incense cones. It's simple, it's easy, and you just have to be patient. I look forward to seeing you in my next video, and I'm going to let you know it smells amazing in here. Everyone, stay safe and sound. Continue to stock your pantries with as much nourishing food that will sustain you. I look forward to seeing you in my next video, and may you each be blessed. I'll see you soon.